Tonight on That's Dark.
Protector of children or bringers of mischief. Follow us as we uncover the history and truth behind fairies.
Hello, everybody.
Hey.
It's Alyssa.
And Heather.
We're talking about fae.
Fairies.
Fairies.
They have lots of different names, actually.
Yes.
A lot. And I'm going to apologize now because I have so much information that I'm going to be reading off of articles. I'm going to be reading off my notes. Yeah, so it's crazy. When I started uncovering, I always heard of fairies and fae. And, and some people, staunch believers, and I get it now. As I'm reading, I'm like, I think that just like anything, we'll get into it. I think they can get made into something they're not.
Yes.
But I'm like, okay, I see you, fairies.
I am very interested because I was looking up, I'm going to be talking about some people's stories of encountering them. So just a little bit of information I found. I'm very interested to hear.
It's crazy.
What the heck these people are about.
Yeah.
Because it's weird.
It is weird and it's so steep. But we can have a little quick chit chat before we dive into the world of the fae. And not the sexy world, everybody. No. An ACOTAR, which I am a huge ACOTAR fan, but this isn't fae sex and fae banging
not at all.
Fae banging humans.
Not at all.
Fae banging everybody.
Heather made me a, what is it? Pistachio milk latte.
Yes.
Oh my God. And it's in a Halloween mug.
I had to give you a Halloween mug.
I'm so ready. I'm ready for Halloween.
I'm having the hardest time.
I'm ready.
I told myself.
It's everywhere.
I am not decorating. Mm-hmm. I'm not. I was even going to try to push it this year until end of August.
That's what I'm trying to do.
Oh, it is hard.
It is.
Because the stuff that is coming out is so... we have a theme for the Halloween party.
Ooh, what is it?
Pirates of the Caribbean.
Oh, fuck yeah.
Yeah, we're going to deck out our whole house.
Hell yeah.
To look like...
Dude, that's going to be so cool.
And we're going to have, how you're on there and you hear it sounds like a ship moving. We're going to have that going through the house.
Yes.
And the flickering lights.
Yes.
Everyone can dress up however they want to, but we're decorating the house.
Yes. I can't wait. That's
October 12th.
Fun. Yes.
Yeah.
I'm so excited.
I know.
That's going to be so fun.
Unless, I know we are talking about, I already told everyone that I've told them, but I also have Halloween Horror Nights. I was so to be determined because that's more important to me right now.
I agree. I so agree.
Depending on the weekend that we decide to go, that is more important to me than, because I can always, every weekend. The only one that we just didn't want to go close to Halloween.
Yeah, because then it gets too crazy.
It does get too crazy.
But yeah, I am just ready. I'm seeing it everywhere in the stores. I haven't been to Bath and Body Works yet, but I heard they have Stranger Things stuff.
I saw it. I know. I went to Home Goods and their whole back wall is Halloween. Yes. And I'm just looking at it I'm not going to buy anything.
Okay, but I'm going to say I'm kind of disappointed in the things they have. I'm not going to lie. I know it's early.
Have you looked at mine by my house?
No.
Okay, they're good.
Really?
They're real good.
It's a lot of what looks like was last year's shit. And I'm kind of
no, mine definitely has a switch up. Because last year was witches, right?
Yeah, there was a lot of witches.
This year
I'm seeing a lot of there's some things that I saw that were really cute, but they're just kind of janky looking. There was this cauldron that was triple stacked and it had bubbles on it and lights, but the lights were string and you could see it. It just I was it was $45 and I'm
what? Wait, what was that?
Oh, what? It was not it. It was not it at all.
No.
So...
No, mine is good. It was a lot of really cool spider stuff, which I loved, but also skull stuff, stuff that I know already I can buy to fit theme of what we're going to go with. Because I'm a theme girly.
Yes.
I gotta have a theme. That's what gets me amped.
I saw some things that I liked.
Whoa! That's
I know.
How I feel about a theme.
I'm just so ready. I hate this time of the year. July to August is the ickiest worst. Not even just weather-wise, but just there's nothing going on. And even at Epcot, because I love to go to Epcot, there's no festivals right now. The next one is not until August 29th, I think, for Food and Wine.
Yeah.
And it's just bleh.
It's so gross.
It is. I just hate July and August.
Gross.
I hate it.
No excitement.
I will say, I don't know how in the actual hell it is the end of July already.
I'm actually happy.
I am too, but like
'Cause
I looked at the date today and I'm like, what?
When I was like checking out a Starbucks, this one guy was like weeks ago. He's like, "Did you have fun at the 4th of July?" And I wasn't thinking.
Like, no.
And I turned and I said, "I hate 4th of July."
I do too.
And he looked at me like, "Oh," because I was like, "I hate 4th of July."
Did you notice that this 4th of July, people were very patriotic?
Very.
Like, people were wearing the colors this year. And I was like,
I refuse. Not that I'm against, not that I'm anti-American.
No, not at all. It's just like not my vibe. No. And it's like, it's my least favorite holiday. It's not like, I know, like, I obviously know the understanding of what it is. Like, I'm not talking about that, like, in itself. But it's just like not. I just don't like the summer. I'm not like, I feel like if you're from the north, you like the summer because it's like hot. It's like nice out finally. When you're from Florida, it's the worst.
I just want to cry.
No one likes summer here.
Right? You're just like...
And if you do, there's something wrong with you.
If you like summer in Florida, then I think you're a psychopath.
Yeah. You're from somewhere that's very much more close to the equator than we are.
Okay, yeah. I shouldn't say psychopath because... you could be someone that is very... My neighbor, he's so nice. And he is from, I think, Haiti. And so... Okay,
so he's used to the heat.
This is wonderful to him. But like, we're out... I'm like taking the dogs out to the bathroom and I'm just like pouring sweat. And he's just like, hi.
Well, I will say, like, if you're from like... Because like Thailand, it's way hotter than this. It's just humid. Like, you think humidity here is bad?
Okay. I said I didn't want to go there because you told me about the humidity. But then I saw the floating market and now I have to go.
Floating market's really cool. I don't think it's like, it's not something I would do again because it's nothing like to really write home.
I haven't done it.
To do it one time, you definitely have to do it. But it's nothing like...
I do want to go to Japan.
I do too.
Happy.
I have to go to Japan. Japan is my number one place I have to go.
It is so cheap and you get the best food there. Yeah, you just have to watch out.
All right.
Okay.
Going.
All right. We had a little issue there. Okay. All right. Let's get out of the chit chat and get into the topic.
Absolutely.
Faye.
Yeah.
I have had so much caffeine today. Like, I'm like amped.
I have not.
Plus, I haven't seen you and I haven't been able to talk to you. So I'm just like,
yeah.
So much
our other jobs have been not fun.
Yeah. Okay. Let's get into, I think, the history. We'll start talking. And I'm going to kind of segment out the different histories of the different areas. So I'm going to start with the history of Fae. So the history of Fae, or fairies, is it going? Okay. Is complex and can be literally traced back thousands of years. That's what hit me. And I was like, what? To many, and when I say many, different cultures around the world. Many. So the word fairy comes from the Latin word fata, which means fate, which is interesting because they are usually bringers of fate. When you think about it. Fairies are often depicted as supernatural beings with magical powers who are associated with nature and have a tendency to interfere with humans. Yeah. They are generally considered to be more than mortals, but less than gods, which I thought was interesting. And throughout history have been linked to ghosts, spirits, which spirits and ghosts to me are the same thing, so I thought that was weird. Demigods, which I found was very interesting. Demons. And devils.
Now, what about
depending
banshees?
The culture. I don't know. I couldn't find banshees. But they seem like they're in the same area.
In the same category.
Yeah.
Because, like, when I was on the forum, like, there's this whole fairy forum.
There is. There's a lot of them.
On it is, like, a bunch of stuff about banshees, too. So I'm like...
I think they're in the same... Like, they live in that same realm. So, speaking of that, so Fae are supernatural, 100%. And are known to live in the realms between humans and spirits, which again makes complete sense to me when I started reading. So the term fairy itself, it only dates back to the Middle Ages in Europe, but analogs to these beings in varying forms appear in both written and oral literature, and they also appear in etchings in caves.
Very interesting.
Isn't that?
That's crazy.
Yes. I literally was like, what?
That's so crazy.
Yeah. I thought that was really, really cool. So like you'll see them in like nymphs of Greek mythology and Homer, and you'll see them in Arabic mythology. There's folk characters that are them in the Samoan mythology.
What?
Yes. And Arctic people have.
What?
Yeah. Oh yeah. You have no idea. And then indigenous tribes have markings of fairies.
So do we
The beings that they call fairies.
So I know it's in the same category as like it's supernatural. So are we thinking it's almost like a kind of spirit?
I do.
In a way?
I think
like,
a spirit, or because I honestly believe that I believe in gods, I guess you could say, because I don't believe that there's any like one creator that made this whole world, but I definitely believe there's, because of the realms and what we know, and the dimensions, I definitely believe there's different worlds.
Like Greek mythology type stuff.
Yeah. I think they might have been really pretty
that.
close to that. So, which was interesting, So there's also different theories when it comes to fairies. So 3, I think, are kind of the main ones. One theory suggests that it's based on that word fata, which is fate, which refer to the kinder, almost godlike beings that would oversee children's births. So there's fairies, and this was primarily in Britain that I found a lot of those ones that would be like fairy godmothers. Yes. Right? They would reside.
That's so cool.
I know.
Awesome.
And that's kind of where fairies kind of resided from, that they would have these beings that would come and reside over. And there would be actual accounts written down of this.
Wow.
Yeah. It's when I started researching, I was like, what the heck? Yeah. Yeah. And so, and almost godlike beings that would oversee children's births. So fairy godmothers. Another is that the word that comes from the French, I know you love that, verb faire, meaning to enchant. And so they're just like, your little mystical, enchanting fairies out there. A third theory suggests that it's an abbreviation of fair folk, one of the most common nicknames of fae. It's referred to both of their appearance, for they are usually described as super pale. So they got the name fair folk. Now this I found tend to reside in Scotland, Ireland, and Britain is where the fair folk comes into play. All of them look similar, but in slightly different, which makes sense if they're in different areas. You know what I'm saying? And then this is what's really cool. Fair folk, they have this obsession with truth and lies, bargains and payments. Oh. They love to play games. Knowledge of and belief in the fae can be traced back again to thousands of years. Writing about the fae became particularly popular in the 1200s. Like, that's pretty far back there. Yeah.
What?
Yeah. After fading from literature for a time, a resurgence, as we can see, has just definitely it came back in the 1900s. And then it's now present day, as we know, with like Akatar and all those. Earth? Yeah.
That's crazy.
Yeah. Which is so crazy. In Irish and Scottish folklore, they are known as, I'm not going to say this right at all. So Sidhe? I don't know if that's right. Which are all, never mind. I should have just finished this. Which are all pronounced she.
Oh.
Yep. They once lived in our world, but were driven out to a realm of their own by humans wielding iron weapons. This is also written in history.
What?
Yes. Some can still be found in dark forest, trails, mountains, and deep waters. Because there's water fairies.
Don't like that. Oh.
And not just in the British Isles. The fae can be found all over the world, as I said. And they all go by different names. Fae are notorious for taking a special interest in children.
Oh.
The kind ones are known as the tooth fairy or fairy godmothers.
Okay.
The cruel ones steal children for their own, often leaving a changeling fae child in their place.
What?
These changeling fae are sickly. You know what's crazy? There is literally history, and you can actually see this on Outlander, where if the people believed when they had a sick child that a fairy came and switched them out. And so they would leave that sick child in the forest for the fairies to take them back.
What?
Yes. Yeah. Yeah, that's an actual history thing that they would do that. They would have this, especially in Scotland, this superstitious belief that if they had a sickly child, it was switched out by a fairy, and then they would leave it and hoping that the fairy would switch it back.
Was there any like proof of this? Like where did this
Well, from what
come from?
I think just like passed down, and from what I could see, there was times that the child would get better, and like they would go and check it. They wouldn't go near it, and then once the cry got strong enough, it'd be better. And then other times it would, unfortunately, I didn't mean to laugh. It wasn't funny. Well, it would pass away, obviously. But then they would say, oh, well, their child's gone. That fairy, they just took it to the other world.
Oh my gosh.
They also have been known to steal adults and turn them into little creatures.
Oh.
Yes.
Well, that's interesting.
They're not friendly. In fact, they're not good nor evil. In fact, in all of the accounts of fairies, fae, in Egypt, they're demons, but they are same kind of depiction, right? They're considered to be of like demons. In fact, they're connected to, what's the god with the cat face? Or the dog face, the one that's the bringer of souls. And Anubis. They're connected to Anubis in Egypt.
Interesting.
And they're bringers of souls, but they're considered to be mischievous. But they're not good or evil. They just don't care about humans. And they think it's fun to play with them. They're like, this is fun.
What on earth, dude?
Yeah.
Oh my God.
So let's talk about it in like little different areas. So I'm going to give like a little short one because there is this nice article that really kind of laid it out in each one. So we'll talk about the Greeks. So Greek mythology is full to the brim of magic and supernatural critters. According to legend, gods, goddesses created the world. They immediately made meadow nymphs, forest nymphs, water nymphs, and tree nymphs to take care of the earth. Nymphs were small and beautiful, similar to what we know of fairies. Yeah. So you think like Tinkerbell or, masculine nymphs, satyrs, were able to do good or bad. Meanwhile, the feminine nymphs were pure and innocent, of course. God forbid, that the feminine nymphs didn't get to be all like mischievous.
No, never.
You had to be pure and innocent.
Could never be a thing.
There were also sirens, so they were considered fairies.
I was gonna ask, do you think sirens are fae?
Yes. I think mermaids are fae. So who were half bird and half women, and they lured their sailors with their songs, and the sailors would crash and drown. They were beautiful, yet evil creatures.
And how does that help take care of the earth?
I mean, sailors have wrecked the earth for I don't know how long.
True.
But also, couldn't you, let's say this is all real, right? Let's say that, like, couldn't you morph into, you have free will. Like, are they protecting? They could be. Maybe they're sick of humans. Maybe when they interfere, they're like, yeah, I'm going to mess with you because you suck.
Yeah.
So historians believe that fairies were recognized by Greeks as sirens. So they believe that sirens, nymphs, all fairies.
Okay.
And then satyrs, and I said nymphs already. And they created the foundation for the later myths of fairies.
Okay.
Again, they have actually seen little weird, I'll get the picture for you to put on there, little weird creatures, but they literally have wings.
Oh.
It was so bizarre. Like little weird, I don't know, their legs were really long and their arms were really long and they had little heads. And this is on the caves. And then they had little wings out their back.
I'm thinking of the ones from Harry Potter.
Maybe. that might make sense. It was weird. I was like, why they got wings though?
I don't like this.
In the 1400s, fairies... Oh, this is British. Sorry, the British one.
Okay.
The 1400s, fairies became popular in England when Ottaya Imperelia came out, which I do not know what that is. Written by, it was a story. Okay. So he was a world traveler and wrote a book about his findings of the world. He included seeing magical creatures who called themselves fairies. They were both small and tall, ugly and beautiful, good and evil. Okay. Now, everything I have read and everything, so even though that book says that, everything I read said fairies are neither good nor evil.
So they're like humans.
Well, I think some of us can be pretty evil. I say some of us like I'm evil.
Well, that's true. But it sounds like there's a lot of fairies that could be evil.
They just don't feel those emotions.
Got it.
They don't have any feelings of good nor evil. They just, I guess,
just
do.
exist.
Like, remember when I said about that really old thing I said it just is?
Yeah.
I feel like that's kind of what fairies are, right?
That makes sense.
But the British idea of fairies is more from what was mentioned in the book. British people were scared of fairies because they were thought to be mischievous creatures with the ability to curse them. They thought that saying the word fairy out loud would summon them, so instead they said words like the neighbors, the gentry, or little people.
Oh.
Kind of like when we used to be worried about saying skinwalkers.
Yes.
And we would say...
the flesh pedestrians.
Flesh pedestrians. People thought that fairies resided underground, near water, or deep in the woods. Because of this, they avoided crossing those paths that were famously where fairies live. Some people went so far as to remove the corners of their houses to avoid getting in the way of the fairies. Fairy figurines were the last thing on their minds. So they would literally like remove the corners of their house if it was near what they would consider fairy area.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. Yes. But then, of course, in Britain, the mythology got mixed with heavy religion and fairies became fallen angels.
No, of course.
Yes. And the church promoted the idea as a way to showcase God and religion.
Oh my.
So then the church came in, they said, you know, it'd be really fucking cool. I'm going to take these fairies that I've heard about that's in history and I'm going to make them fallen angels so I can rule the people. Let's just put it out there because that's
sounds
what
right.
happened. Yeah.
Good Lord.
So with the Irish, and the Irish is very similar to Scottish as far as like their belief. You know, I'm not one to usually say that, but this time it's true.
Okay.
Fairies were creatures with magical powers that belonged to gods and goddesses. So just like
Greeks.
Yes. They are called Tuatha De Danann, and were an evolved race, which is really cool. They infamously disappeared after they lost a war against humans fighting for Ireland's land. And after that, they appeared in the form of humans. So they actually believe there is humans that descend from Fae.
What?
Yeah. So even though they lost the war, fairies remained. Our fairy figurines will transport you back in time to a place where gods and goddesses held fast to the world with their trusty sidekicks, the fairies. But in their in their history, they evolved.
Okay.
They weren't spirits. They were like evolved humans.
Okay.
And then they evolved, and then some of them went to be fairies. And then others are still on parts, and they believe descendants of fairies.
Wow.
Yeah. Can you believe how in-depth this is? Like, I was just like...
I was not expecting this.
I know. So in Egypt, again, they are connected to Anubis. Mm-hmm. They are connected to hell, essentially what they believe is hell. They are not good. They are evil. And even though Anubis isn't evil, everything I've read about Anubis, he's not evil. He is just the usher of souls.
Okay.
So I don't know why the fairies are evil to the Egyptians, but they are. And then I also want to talk about the fact that indigenous tribes here in America, again, found in their caves, they are written about tiny spirits. So tiny spirits that love to play games. Tiny spirits that if you crossed their path, they wanted to basically have you have a payment, put you through hell.
Oh.
Yeah. Some of them are lure you to your death.
Oh.
Yes. They would lure you to your death.
Wow.
And then comes mermaids. So mermaids are considered fae. They're considered a part of fae because they evolved from, that's in history too. It's supposed to be that they evolved from that same type of demigod or spirit or whatever is supposed to be. So let's talk about, and by the way, there is like secluded tribes that have them in their tales. Yes. Like it is, Alyssa, when I tell you, when I started researching fairies, I went down a rabbit hole that I did not know I was going to go down.
He's eating your plant. I don't think he can do that.
That's bad. Oh no.
I heard munching and I'm like, God,
that can hurt you.
Yeah, I don't think you're supposed to have that, Maki.
Oh my God, Maki.
He's like, num, 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 num.
I had my plant on the floor because we're using my plant stand. And he started eating my plant.
Oh, buddy.
Oh, I'm so sorry, Joffrey. You always get...
I was like, wait, what is he?
He's always just get... Like, I just start getting him so good. And then something comes and eats him. And I'm like, no.
Not for you.
How bad is it?
Okay. It's a nibble.
No.
Oh, God.
Look at this one.
Oh, my God.
Okay. Anyways.
Right.
So then, yeah, I wanted to talk about like where today, and then you can go into your stories. Yeah. So there is, when I say that I had to condense our information because the information is so vast, there's fairies everywhere. So you think, when you think of fairies, fae, you think Scotland, Ireland, Britain.
Yeah.
No.
Everywhere.
They're everywhere. They are here. They're in Virginia has sightings. They're in Florida has sightings.
That's the place that you were asking me about, the Casadega. They have a whole fairy garden.
Interesting, because they have a lot of sightings in Florida.
Okay.
They have sightings in, I think it's Massachusetts, a lot in New England.
Okay.
A lot of sightings. Not really a ton in the West, which I thought that was interesting.
I was going to say, that's kind of, maybe like, because they have their own kind of superstition. Like, isn't that where more like skinwalker type stuff
Well,
is?
skinwalkers are here too.
Well, that's true.
They have a La Llorona. So. Yeah. They do have that.
Yeah.
We don't have that here. And they have chupacabras.
Yes.
But...
Oh, God, the chupacabras in the Halloween Horror Nights house, they were so cute. I loved them. I know they're not cute in what they believe.
No, but they were cute.
At all, but they were very cute in that.
Yeah. So, but the areas that I find that, I mean, they're everywhere. Like I was saying, they're in, like you said, Newfoundland. They're in Sweden. They're like everywhere.
Why is it so prominent in like the UK? Like, because when you think of a fairy, you think of like UK, like Scotland, or
I think that the Scottish and Irish people specifically honor them.
Okay,
so they respect them, and what it seems like from what I've read with the history is that they were a lot more prevalent there. Yeah. There was a lot more, and hearing how they were talking about like the evolving of a race. Demigods, they're very similar to the Greek, how they're talking about how they come from gods and goddesses. Yeah. I think that's kind of in that region, but I do think just like we did things, so I don't think they originated. I'm right. This is just me going off the cuff here, guys, and my speculation. I don't think they originated like out here. I think it was almost like a traveling, but I do think that there is connections because they have Anubis. And he is a god, right? So there just seems to be a lot of them connected to if there's more than just the Christian God, you know?
Yeah.
A lot more connected to it. So it's very interesting. And after I've read all about the history and they're not cute. There is some like sirens that are supposed to be very beautiful and call you in.
Aren't they like really ugly though?
They are.
They just put on like this facade.
Correct. Well, yeah, they look all beautiful and they're like, come here. I don't know. That's not what they say. Come here.
That's their song.
I'm gonna eat you. Come here, let me eat you. It's gonna be fun.
And they'll just jump to their death.
They're like, woo!
Like, okay.
It's gonna be fun.
It's so fun.
But yeah, they put on a facade. But everything I've seen, fairies are not cute.
No.
They're not. They are creatures. They are spirits. Here's what I honestly believe, and then we can go into your fairy sightings. Okay. I think they are from a different dimension. To not feel crazy, not to sound crazy, but
I don't think that's crazy.
I think they are.
I feel like that makes sense.
Sorry, go ahead.
No, I definitely think that makes sense. I also kind of like the idea that they're just like an evolved race.
Yeah.
I feel like that makes sense.
It does make sense with
to me.
evolution and everything.
Yeah.
It makes complete sense, you know,
So, I
for the
find it
survival of whatever was going on, you know,
Yeah,
like
if I think about dimensions, I will just spiral. Because it's so I feel like as a collective we all kind of agree that that is a thing, you know, now, and it's not like, I feel like it's not as much a conspiracy anymore as like there's 100% other dimensions.
Oh, yeah. That's like when they came and the government's like, yeah, so there's aliens. And we're like, oh, yeah,
Like,
okay.
yeah. And do I have to go to work tomorrow?
Is anything going to change?
Yeah.
All right, cool. Let's talk about something else. Like, no, there's 100% different dimensions. But that's kind of what it seems like. And maybe it is an evolved human race. Maybe there's like a connection to a dimension.
Yeah.
That then, and I honestly do believe that there is, because the fact that not only in the Greek, right, in indigenous people, in Native American, they speak of the different gods and goddesses. Yes. It is only primarily, I'm not going to say only because there is other religions, the Christian religion that made one God, although he is 3 in 1. Right. Let's talk about that. And said, this guy, he created this whole earth. Yeah, he's supposed to be the Trinity. Oh. The Father, the Son, and the Holy Spirit. But he's 3 in 1. Oh. So God, that's a whole thing. God, you know, is creator of everything. And then he said, I'm going to send my son out. But his son is actually God.
But that's him.
But it's him. But then the Holy Spirit comes, and that's also God. But he's also the Holy Spirit, so he's different. And then Jesus, who is his son, who's also God, died on the cross for everyone's sins, and then went back up to his Father, but it's also God.
I'm very confused. Your face. Could you imagine me like learning this? I feel like there's so many recorded your face. There's so many questions.
You were just looking at me like, whoa.
Because I'm just like, how? Like, and I'm not trying to like be judged. I'm just truly like, how? Like,
I'm going to be judging.
How did like, I don't know. I feel like I just have too many questions in my brain.
Because it doesn't make sense.
I have a very hard time with that.
That's why it doesn't make sense. But I'm just saying, they are like, oh no, it's one God, but he's 3 and he's in 1. And it's like, why don't you just say there's 3 gods? But
and
they're
there's like different sightings of each individual person.
Well, no one's ever seen God.
Okay, well, that's
because
true.
God's face is
or
the sun.
Holy Spirit. I guess the Holy Spirit is
Holy
the same
Spirit
thing.
is the speaker of things. He comes and speaks in your ear.
It sounds like a schizophrenic person created this.
No.
I'm not gonna lie. I'm sorry, but very, very much.
What?
Very much.
What? You think that this religion is
this is coming from my opinion, who has no religious education at all.
And we all know I have it.
You have a lot. So this is
this
is just a reaction of someone who has truly no idea of anything in religion. And so I'm not trying to come across as like rude or disrespectful. I'm truly just confused.
I have a lot of religious trauma, so I do come across as rude and disrespectful. So
I'm just very like, I don't know.
I'm not saying y'all are bad by any means. No means.
No, I know. I have a lot of friends who are, but
But I also think some people say they are just because that's what they say. Right?
Yeah, it's like a belief. Like, none of my friends that are religious are like, they have never said like, this is a 3 in 1 person. And like, I just don't know. Like, that's just like, I don't know.
We just went off on a big old like detour about it.
Okay. We need a whole
I guess like skirt.
I feel like we need a whole Christianity lesson.
You want me to bring my mom on?
Oh, yes.
She'll be like yelling on the mic, God said. She would be. She'd be like, she gets so hyped on her own self, she'll just be screaming about God.
Oh man.
And we'll be like, no, we agree. She'll just be like yelling at us the whole time.
I have a pretty funny story. There's like at my job before, because I work remote from there now, but this was pre-COVID. So I was in the office and there was this woman there who was very religious. Like, it sounds a lot like how your mom is.
Yeah.
And she loved Jesus. Like, literally talked about Jesus every day. And she had him as a background on her computer. And there was this guy that also worked there that he was walking past just talking to her one day, and he goes, "Oh, who's that sexy man on your screen?" She's like, "It's Jesus." But it was not a normal looking picture of Jesus. It was like, he's like his hair blowing in the wind.
Oh, you don't know about how there's the sexy Jesus out there? Yeah. There's a sexy Jesus.
Oh,
And
like actually?
Oh no, literally a sexy Jesus. And he would be in all, like, I've been into a lot of religious homes and he's like strong and windswept and like holding people in his arms. Like, he's sexy Jesus. Yeah. No joke, dude. My mom romanticizes Jesus though, so it makes sense to me. But she also romanticizes Trump.
I feel like they typically go hand in hand.
Hard on. Yeah.
Which I find interesting too.
A hard on for him. She's like, oh, like listens to him all day long in her ear.
Oh my goodness.
But anyway, so I mean, that's kind of like again, this could literally be a 5-parter.
Yeah.
I had to really generalize a lot of it because this would have been a 5-parter. Because there's so much, you guys have, like, maybe we could do a 5-parter one day.
I just
like
didn't know. Maybe we should, like, go into each, oh my God, what is it called? Not genre.
Like, region?
Yes, each region.
That's what I'm saying.
I feel like
there's so much in depth. But if you guys want a 5-parter on, like, the different regions and all that, let us know. I just didn't know. That. I do too. Now I'm, like, researching about these fairies.
I'm gonna say it was so nice to research on stuff like this because lately it's just been serial killer. And it's like, I feel like I got into a really dark hole, like, looking those up. Like, I cannot listen to that stuff like I used to anymore. Like, I can't research that all the time. It just puts me in like a really bad headspace. So looking up about Fae,
it was lovely,
has been great. And I think because I really want to do the haunted subreddit thing, stories for next time.
Yes.
So because I feel like that's just like, I need some like fun with it.
I could not agree more because, yeah, it got real. It got
dark.
It's like when we did the toy box killer.
Oh my God.
Was like, it put me in a weird place.
I did not like that.
I just wanted to fuck no, oh my God.
Oh.
No.
What?
No.
What?
No, not that I want to fuck everybody up. Like,
okay,
bad people.
Okay, that makes sense. I'm like, no,
nothing good about that. Like,
not at all.
I wanted to fuck everybody up,
yes.
like that are bad. Like,
yes.
I wanted to fight. Like, it put me in that space. No, I'm not that. No. I don't got that. I don't
Absolutely
got that.
not.
No.
That's a no for me, dog.
No.
Well, I have some stories now of real accounts. And I'm going to start with, this is from, some of these stories, on the forum that I found, these are stories from, like, the 1700s, like, accounts of, like, these people.
See?
So, and this is a short one. None of them are too long, but they're just very interesting.
Did you see how pleased I was? I was like, see?
Yes. They're very old. So this one is called Antrim Fairies Try to Steal Baby.
Okay, let's hear it.
Okay, and also I apologize because this must take place I'm going to assume somewhere in the UK, so there's a few words that I'm a little unsure of. Okay, so Tommy McCormick, might be Ireland actually, with McCormick. So Tommy McCormick relates that about 60 years ago, the mother of John McKendry of Tircor Cushleek gave birth one evening to a child. The place where she lay was a loft over the kitchen fire. 2 neighboring girls looked after the infant, who was placed in a cradle at the side of the fire. The girls fell asleep, and when they awoke, the infant had disappeared. An alarm was raised, and the squealing of an infant was heard, ongoing into the byre, which was off the kitchen. Now, a byre sounds like it's a cowshed. So they found the infant laying inside the byre on the ground. Yeah, so that's it. It's a very short story, but yeah. So the two neighboring girls were watching her. They ended up falling asleep on accident.
She was an infant.
Yes, she was in her little cradle by the fire.
Okay.
And the infant girls were supposed to watch her, but they fell asleep. When they woke up, she was gone from her cradle. And they heard an infant screaming. And it was in the byre, which is a cowshed, so outside of the house.
So fairies were just messing around.
Yeah.
They're like, hey, maybe it got too heavy. And they're like, nah, we're just gonna.
Or because there was an alarm raised and they were like, oh, we got to get out of here.
Crying.
Yes.
Interesting.
Yes.
Or someone tried to kidnap.
That too.
But that's interesting.
And now I have two more. These are from Reddit and these are more like recent ones. When I was 11, I got very into fairies, but more in a witchy way, I guess you could say. I realize that's kind of odd for a kid to be into things like this, but you gotta know I was very imaginative and somewhat a lonely kid. I've always loved fairies, and my mom got me a book on them. It included fairy language and a list of gifts to offer fairies should you wish to interact with them. Of course, I wanted to contact them. What little girl wouldn't? For about a month, I wandered out to my backwoods by a river because according to the book, fairies like to hang out around water. And I leave little notes written in the supposed language along with little gifts and offerings. I would make them little leaf baskets, leave them candy or flowers, things like that. I even recited a chant. I think part of me knew it was silly and that I'd probably never get the results, but damn if I wasn't determined, so I kept on. At one point, my gifts and notes started disappearing from the bench that I left them on. I figured it was the wind or birds taking it, but a small part of me hoped it was something else. A month of this nonsense, and I was getting very discouraged. I decided to leave a few more gifts for them, and this time I weighed them down with a small rock so that it couldn't blow away and I would know for sure. A day went by and my gifts were still there. Another day, same thing. Then on the third day of checking, I found the gifts gone, but the rock was still there. Only the rocks were moved around. I don't remember how soon after that this happened, but eventually I got what I had wanted. I wandered out into the woods and saw by the river 2 monarch butterflies. They were very large and I wanted to see them up close. However, one landed on a branch close to the path where I was standing and I noticed this butterfly had limbs. Tiny, thin, pale limbs, hands, and feet. I stopped dead in my tracks and looked hard to make sure I wasn't hallucinating. It was broad daylight and I could see very clearly. It wasn't a butterfly, it was a fairy.
Oh.
She had long, thin brown hair that went down past her feet and a blue dress that looked like a small scrap of fabric. But what terrified me above all else was her face. Her eyes were giant, black, bug, alien-like eyes. But she definitely had a face, and she definitely saw me. I didn't even try to look at the other one because I ran. I was so scared that I bolted home and locked my door. After freaking out and keeping an eye on the backyard, through the window, I went back. No surprise, they were gone. And I never saw them again, despite me trying over and over again. My gifts were never taken again. I felt sad and stupid because I felt like I ruined my chance to have fairy friends. But knowing what I do now, it was probably a blessing that they left me alone.
Yeah, I would say so. But interesting, the way she described them was like, kind of sounds like
yes.
what was on that wall.
That's what I think too.
Yeah, that's so interesting.
I know. Okay, and now here is the last one I have. Oh, this one says elf/fairy. Do you think they have anything to do with elves?
I think they're different, but maybe it's kind of
in like the same category. maybe kind of like same supernatural kind of sense. Okay, so this happened back on December 27th of 2019 between 1745 and 1800. When is that? 1712. If you minus 12 from it, so 5. So 5:45 to 6 o'clock.
I was like looking, I'm going, huh? 5, 12, 15.
Yeah, I think that's it, right? 17 minus 12 is...
Girl, I don't do the math.
I only know you subtract 12 because my dad was military, so he like...
My dad was military too, but I still have to be like...
I know,
12, 13, 14,
you know
15,
what? Okay,
16.
honestly, I feel like using military time makes more sense. It makes more sense to me.
It does.
Why don't we just do that? I don't get it.
I don't get it either.
Okay.
Makes sense.
Rant over. I live in the UK, but I'm primarily Irish heritage on my father's side, and my family has been living in the local for roughly 4 generations. A lot of them came over after the Irish Civil War and settled as farm laborers and had a vibrant community until the 80s, and it got flooded by the fucking Londoners. So this person has strong feelings about Londoners. Anyway, there's a hill I had to walk up after work to get to my home from the station, and at the top there's 2 Victorian lampposts. On the right, a couple of houses along the steep embankment that is a dell with a tarmac understory, and to the left, woodlands, mostly oak and beech. Anyway, at the lamppost closer to me, I could see a figure struggling to climb it. At first, I thought it was a rat. I wasn't wearing my glasses, and I got further and further up and started to look more and more humanoid. I'm in fucking shock at this moment, and a bunch of correlations come into my head. Then it rests on fairy. I laughed my fucking ass off at it due to the absurdity, and I literally shouted, "Go fuck yourself, you fucking fairy!"
Oh.
Because I was just in disbelief.
Oh.
2 seconds later, this clap bang explosion goes off at the back of my head and knocks me to the ground.
Yep.
I just start running and get the fuck out of there. I had no bumps or injuries on the back of my head, and the sheer force of it just is unexplainable. I honestly would have shrugged off the event if it wasn't for that. So, yeah, that's... Then there's a lot of people...
With fairy. That's my rule of thumb is,
don't fuck with fairies.
If you don't know 100% fairies are not real, like if you... Don't fuck.
Don't fuck.
What is up with...
Just don't fuck.
Just don't fuck. Just don't fuck. Leave fuck alone. Fuck.
That makes me think of the Mean Girls with the PE teacher that's teaching them about sex. He's like, don't have sex in school. Don't have sex. Just don't have sex, period.
But wait, like it's true. You need to give that speech because there's that one time when I was younger and I was working and I was walking into work and there's just 2 people from my work going at it in their car. Oh, like,
oh, no.
Like letting everyone see.
Oh.
Like I was just like, oh, I mean, just doing it. So that's a good lesson to tell people. Like, don't. They got fired.
Yeah.
It was very noticeable. Like, you can't. Like, it was noticeable.
Can't be doing that.
They were just going at it.
Hey.
And they were, like, in the 3rd parking spot to the front. Like, go park in the
broad daylight?
Yes! I was walking out of the building. I was done with my shift. I was going to go home. This is a long time ago. And they were just in the 3rd car. And I don't know if they thought it'd be hidden. But, I mean, like, let me set this up for you, really.
How did we get to this? Is what I want to know.
She was sitting on him.
Okay.
But it wasn't like the movements.
You know what's happening.
It's not just Okay. It was just like, like, it was insane.
Goodness.
But then, obviously, because I didn't report it. I was like, look,
let them do their thing.
Yeah, let them finish. Like, it's cool. I'm going to go to my car. They were fired the next day. So someone, I mean, probably a manager came out and was like, what the hell?
You can't be doing that here.
Like, you gotta be, you can't just do that. You can't just go like you would if you're not seen by everyone.
No. At least wait till nighttime. Like, don't be doing that in broad daylight in the 3rd parking spot.
Yeah.
Okay?
Yeah.
Wise words.
Anyways,
Happy
I don't know.
Melissa.
Yeah. Not in broad daylight. A parking lot, I guess, but let's be discreet about it.
Yeah.
But I would be so scared.
I would too.
Like, I don't want to go to jail.
Yeah, no.
I don't want to be on the sex offender list. Like, I don't want that shit.
I'm very good on that.
Like,
no. Thank you. No,
like,
thank you.
Like, I get that it's whatever, but no. Anyways, I know I detoured again. It's a detoury day.
Yes. Well, that is my encounter. Not my encounters, but the stories of the encounters. And a lot of people commented on her Reddit and same kind of account. So many things. And this was 2019. Like, this isn't like forever ago.
I ran across in my research so many people who have stories, and they are all little humanoid, but never described as like little people with wings. They're humanoid. Always gangly arms and legs, different looking, definitely, but humanoid. And that is what is depicted on the cave dwellings.
So like Dobby.
Kind of, but like with little wings. Like,
Sweet.
anyways, I thought it's vastly interesting. I would love to dive in and do each area because there's so much lore and history and it's just insane. So if you guys, because we always want to give you guys what you want.
Yes.
So if you want us to break this down and go even deeper, I would love to, by the way. I would love to.
I just want all the lore. Lore in general. Just lore.
Remember when I covered
all kinds
Krampus?
of lore.
Like, that was even so cool, you know?
Yes.
We covered Krampus. Like,
I
that
want
was
all
so
of
cool.
that kind of stuff. I want supernatural stuff right now. I want
moving into.
Yes, that's just what I want.
I think we should also bring back the haunted stories. Remember how I wrote one?
Yes.
Yeah.
That was so fun.
That was so fun.
All right. Well, that is all we have for you this week. Please remember to like, comment, and subscribe.
Yes, yes, yes.
And we'll see you in the next one.
Bye, guys.
Bye.